I'm really looking forward to this conversation. I think it's going to be super valuable to not only just the members here right now inside of our coaching call, but anybody that might be listening to this, maybe on YouTube or, Spotify, anything like that. Your transformation has been incredible. And I talk about that often, not just physically with your results from where you got started to where you are now, but more so with your mindset. You used to be the guy that when you first got signed up for our coaching program, you were the fly on the wall, brother, just kind of sitting in. Now you're the one hyping everybody up, providing that value, helping out others, always being there to reach out and support. And I'm blown away by it, man. So,
Appreciate it.
Jeff,
Thank you.
this is going to be super valuable for everybody listening in. And before we dive into actually how you got, started with
Mhm.
Heartletics and how you found out about our coaching program, why don't you first and foremost just kind of like introduce yourself? Maybe for just anybody that might be listening in and they don't know who you are. Why don't you just do a brief little introduction?
Sure. Yeah, my name is Jeff Gray. I'm 53 years old, married to my wife, Helene. Three beautiful older children, Nicole, Melanie, and Ryan. Two rescue pups, Piper and Marley. All the kids are older and out of the house. We're empty nesters with some pups. Work at Progressive Insurance. I've been working there for almost 26 years now, where I've met a lot of friends, some of which are, within this program here. Um, Avid bowler, bowl 3 or 4 times a week. I have the pleasure of continuing to be able to bowl with my dad twice a week. He's still out there crushing it. Huge Cavs fan, beat down Browns fan, but still there. And Bill's helping me get into baseball. So
There you go, man. I love it. You said you bowl with your dad twice a week. That's awesome. How old is
yeah,
your dad?
Tuesday, Thursdays. I will be 54. He will be 77 in November.
That's
Yeah.
amazing, man. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
it's unreal how many people compliment him or ask me how old he is. Like he's still out there crushing it.
Now, don't lie. I know you guys are blood related, right? But
Mhm.
who's better?
Oh, it's me, right? It's me now, right? He openly admits that. Like I had to fight hard. I think it might have been maybe mid to late '90s when I finally caught him. I think I started bowling in like 1983 when I was like 13. So yeah, it took a bit. He fended me off for a good long while, but I eventually got him. He's passed the crown to me at this point. But
Lord,
it's just
man.
cool to still be able to do it with him. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm hoping to still be out there at his age.
I love that. I love that. So, as you guys just heard from Jeff, right? Like, if we had to summarize, right? Working a 9 to 5, married, right? Have your hobbies on the side, and that's it, And then it's just like, how did you first find out about Heartletics? Because, I've known Bill for quite some time, and
Mhm.
obviously you know Bill also. So, I guess kind of share with that how like our worlds kind of collided, because
Yep.
you went from just, hey, basic Jeff to, I like to say super Jeff with your mindset now. And I want everybody to know how that transition actually happened, the step-by-step play. So how did you find out about Heartletics?
So Bill had mentioned to me about the program a couple of different times in the past, right? Wasn't seeing him as often, right? Because once, COVID hit, nobody's going in the office anymore. So, we still, talk to each other all the time through text and everything. But he encouraged me to look into it. And, me, I'm like, I eat a salad every once in a while. I'm healthy. I'm good, right? Um, but I definitely was not, right? And between him and my buddy Tom, and I'm actually grateful for it now. They had the courage to have the difficult conversation with me, right? Like, brother, the needle's not moving in the right direction, right? Um, so the last time Bill encouraged me to reach out and they set up that call with you, had a great conversation about, where I was in life, what I was looking for, right? And kind of got out of me that deep rooted why, right? Like, I'm positioned hopefully financially for early retirement within the next 4 to 5 years, right? But that's meaningless if I'm not around to enjoy it, right? Or here to take care of my family. So that was finally the eye opener that said, okay, I'm on a path. And to Bill's credit, right, I saw the results in him, right? The positive transformation, right? I think he dropped, 60 pounds almost since he's been on the program, right? So yeah, I got started, and to your point, right? I was just a fly on the wall on the call. Bill would, text me, encourage me. He's like, it's okay to talk, right? You can jump into this stuff, right? But you just taking on so much
Yeah.
so early, right? So it's been great. A lot of the learnings within all the videos that you provide, having constant access to the coaches and the community to learn from others. That's one of the things I learned early on. It's like there's nothing that I'm going through that someone else in the program hasn't already been through, right? So I can leverage from their experience and their learnings, right? So that's been huge. And then just locking the physical stuff is pretty straightforward, right? Common sense stuff: walk more, drink more water, eat better, right? Things like that. But the mindset stuff's been huge for me, right? Like I feel like a completely different person at this point with where I process things and how I process things, right? Yeah, it's been amazing.
I love that. And
And,
we're
and
gonna
I've only been, let's what, just over 4 months, I think,
yeah,
on the program. I think I started, I was 241 pounds as of Sunday's check-in. I'm down to 215, and my next mini goal is to get down to 200 by December 1st. None of which I would have been possible had I not had that initial conversation with you.
I love that, man. I love that. There's so much I want to dive into, but you said a lot there in a second. And I just want to go back a little bit.
Sure.
First off, I just want to say shout out to your friends.
Hmm.
Like that's hard, right?
That's
Like your
hard.
friends
Hmm.
coming up to you and saying like, "Hey man, like you're doing great financially, right?
Hmm.
Early retirement is right around the corner, but like, dude, we're worried about your health."
Yep.
So shout out to
That's
them
not an
because
easy conversation, right? So I appreciate it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's not. And like yeah, I mean that just probably started everything. And then yeah, I remember our conversation, we talked a lot about just like where you were,
Hmm.
what it is that you want to get after and all that stuff. But more so is I want to go into, what have you tried, just for everybody, on
Hmm.
this call and listening, what have you tried before Heartletics? Because I know a lot of guys out there, that tried keto and carnivore and
Hmm.
paleo and Beachbody and V-Shred and all these different things, looking for the right thing for them, but they never really find it until they find what we like to say, community, and we're going to dive into that also here in a little bit. But what have you tried before Heartletics, to maybe lose some weight or improve your health?
Yeah, I think probably the one that had the most significant impact, at least short term, I did the T25 workouts back in the day. That was probably the 6 months prior to getting married back in 2010. Just doing everything I could to drop down and tighten up as much as I could. But once I hit that goal, right, then it was over, right? Then I wasn't locked in and focused. It wasn't sustainable, right? Um, Bill will laugh, but the silly cabbage soup diets that I would do in short bursts and torture him with when I'd be bringing that stuff to work because he was sitting right around the corner for me. He's like, yeah, he's like, stop doing that, right? You're not doing that anymore, right? It might work for a week and drop a couple of pounds, but as soon as you actually start eating real food again, that's all going back on. The most recent one was Noom. Um,
Yeah.
but it wasn't bad, but it was just more almost nutritional education, more so focused where, what to eat, what to avoid, how to kind of structure meals, things like that. But, I did that for maybe a couple of months and then it just became monotonous for me. So I ended up not sticking with it.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about your progression here with Heartletics because you
Mhm.
mentioned about, starting off about, 240 all the way
Mhm.
down to 215 pounds now. My first question is, was it hard?
Once I had the blueprint, no, right? It was a lot of common sense things like I talked about, like right, drinking enough water. Um, the 80-20 rule when it comes to food, right? Like you can't cut out everything, right? But you eat smart, right? Stuff good for you most, locking into, okay, here's my protein goal for the day. And what does that mean? Like, mapping out the meals to help me get there. Walking, right? Like I sit at a desk all day long, right? It's like there's times I'd look at my watch and I'd have 1,700 steps in at the end of the day, right? And be lucky if I was getting 5 or 6,000 total and just making trips around the house. So And then the sleep, the recovery piece, that's probably was the toughest one for me. I mean, I think looked at some of my early stats. I was sleeping 4 or 5 hours a night, and how many coaches did my check-ins? They're like, "Dude, I don't know how you're functional." Right? It's like it just, but unfortunately, that was a bad habit that I developed. Right? So through tweaks and my schedule and my starts and stops to the day, right, I've been able to kind of increase that to where I'm in that 6 or 7 wheelhouse almost every night now.
Okay. Okay. So it wasn't hard, right? And so essentially now my next question is, did you have to cut anything out or do you have to make some crazy huge changes to your lifestyle in order to be successful, right, inside of our coaching program?
No, nothing major. I mean, the major change was eliminating the bad habits, right?
What were the bad habits?
So for me during the bowling season, right, when I consider myself eating healthy, right, I'd have maybe 2 hard-boiled eggs at like 10 o'clock in the morning, a big salad with no protein in it, right, and in mid to late afternoons, and then by the time we're done bowling, I'm starving. Right, we're eating wings or a burger or anything after bowling. So it's like, okay, no more of that. Right. So I'm eating my regular schedule now to where I'm not full, and because I'm mapping it out and I'm being smart about what I'm eating, right, which is salad with chicken breast, eggs with turkey, like nothing bad, right? Like not like, oh, awful, I don't want to eat this stuff, right? It's like it's just smarter decisions. And I still leave myself some calories to have a beer or two when I'm out with the guys, right? It's like I'm not crushing 5, 6 beers. I'm getting too old for that, right? It's like, but I can have a beer or two with my dad when we're done bowling, right? It's like, and I stay within my numbers, right? I'm checking all my boxes. So it's just, a lot of adjustments, right, with shoes and the movement piece, right? Like, I get to the point now where I'm in the summer I started because I wanted to ingrain and develop all these healthier habits outside of the bowling season, so it'd be easier to maintain them once the season start, which it did a couple weeks ago, and I haven't missed a beat. I think I've lost 4.5 pounds since the bowling season started. I was sweating bullets, right? That okay, now my distractions are coming back in, right? But football season being another one. But it's like I can have a beer or two after bowling. I can hang out with my family on a football Sunday and have some healthy snacks. My mom's always making sure what can you eat, what can you eat? I'm like, Mom, just get what you're getting, and I'll eat in moderation, right? So she's always got fruits and veggies and always looking out for us. But yeah, it's like now it's to the point where like I feel weird if I'm not doing something, right? And that's my nephew Dominic told me, he's like, that's how you made it, right? Because he's been encouraging me on this journey as well. It's like when you feel bad that you didn't go for a walk or you feel bad that you didn't work out, you've turned that corner, right? It's part of my routine now. So I've really enjoyed this ride, and again, I'm just getting started, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you are. And man, this is a lot of fun. A lot of fun just asking you these questions. Because what I want to ask you next is you already said, hey, I'm fitting in the beer, I'm fitting in the
Hmm.
cheesecake, the pizza, the wings, like I'm having all that stuff, right? And so what I want to get at is like, okay, hey, you came into this with cabbage soup diet, T25, and a little bit of Noom. But then where you are today compared to when you got started was learning that, right? Just the
Right.
nutrition, how to fit in your favorite foods, macros, and all that stuff. Was it hard or was that easy to acquire that knowledge? Because that knowledge can save somebody's life.
Yeah, I would say it was easy based on all the coaching and all the materials that you provide to us, right? It was you break it down in terms that are easily consumable for us to follow, right? That helped, right? You know, jumping into mapping out the meals, right, understanding good foods, bad foods, how to monitor, how to look for macros, how to make sure, planning ahead, the big thing, right? So it was easy based on a lot of the information and the coaching and the mentoring that the entire community of Heartletics provides.
I love that. Let's actually talk about the next community.
Mhm.
I was going to get there in a little bit, but let's actually dive into it now
Sure.
because you just brought it up. Um, with most programs that's out there, right? There's workouts, there's meal plans, you follow it, you fingers crossed get good results. And then there's other programs that's different, right? Obviously, this one's a little bit different. This
Mhm.
is coaching, this is
Right.
community, this is a sense of, hey, you're not doing this by yourself, and we're not giving you something to follow and saying, peace out, Girl Scout. We'll see
Mhm,
you in, the next several months. It's holding your hand through this process,
mhm.
but doing so, it's like you have a team. So, why don't you kind of share a little bit about that? Because walk us through when you first got signed up for our coaching program. I'm sure you've heard me say it because I sound like a broken record when I tell all new members, but the more you engage in the groups, the better results you will get. And that's
Yep,
simply because your environment that you're in, that's going to shift your identity. That's going to
yep.
help you establish just, your mindset, your preferences, help hold you accountable, everything like that. So why don't you kind of share, Jeff, about that transition from first getting signed in to you got all these hundreds of people inside the community group and then you joining these coaching calls, you don't know what to expect, to where you are right now. I guess share a little bit about how maybe the community has been able to help you, hold you accountable, what you've learned from it, anything that you want to kind of talk about that.
Yeah, I would say, the coaching and the accountability piece is right. Like again, when I first started joining the calls, like there's a lot of great info, and I'm just a sponge at that point, just trying to absorb and piece it into, okay, how I'm learning this and how I'm doing that. But just the open forum that we have. I mean, we have structure, we have specific topics that we hit in each of our coaching calls, right? But the openness and in the pivots to where if someone's struggling something with something, we talk through it, right? As a group, like I mentioned earlier, like there's a good chance that someone else has already gone through this, right, and can offer some advice or some things that they did to help them through that. And if not, we come together as a group and we work it out. That's
Yeah.
that's what I think more than you don't get that by just having a checklist of things to do every day, right? You're engaged. You say it all the time. Iron sharpens iron, right? We hear
Mhm.
that across the entire group from all the coaches, right? And now I truly understand what that means.
Yeah, yeah, because community, right? That helps you with what? Accountability.
Mhm.
And when accountability is in place, that helps you with consistency.
Yep.
And obviously, right? Like at the end of the game, this ain't rocket science. This
Hmm.
is the simple fact of, hey, let's move our body, let's, eat healthier foods, and let's just make sure that we don't throw in the towel and quit. And that's why most diets and programs out there, they fail is because they lack that community, they lack the accountability,
Hmm.
and that's typically when guys have a hard time being consistent and they fall off track, they fall off the wagon, you know?
Yep. Yeah.
So
The mindset pieces have helped me stay motivated to do what I need to do on a daily day basis. But it is nice knowing that, I've got a bunch of people on my shoulder that, if I stop checking boxes, they're gonna be like, hey Jeff, what's going on, man? Everything good? Right.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that helps, with the motivation, like you mentioned, the consistency. Right.
yeah, and let's
Consistency is the most critical part of this, right? You got to show up every day.
absolutely, absolutely, and let's talk about the mindset, right? Because that's the biggest, change that I've seen with you, right? Is
Mhm,
that mindset. Um, I guess walk us through this because I don't want to spill too much beans about inside of our coaching program to how we, help
mhm,
somebody with their mindset. But I guess like give, I guess, the context of maybe when you first got started off, you probably heard us talk about mindset a lot inside these
mhm,
coaching calls. And eventually, hey, you started, dabbling into a
mhm.
few on your own, whether that's, the gratitude,
Yep,
visualization,
yep,
affirmations, like, and obviously just like skinning a cat, training a muscle, there's
mhm.
different ways to do so. It's about finding ones that work the best for you. Can you kind of talk a little bit, Jeff, about just the transition of your mindset from where it was, maybe how you thought about food, working out, your own self-image to where you're focused on and thinking about now with your mindset. Because as you kind of mentioned, you're on this path and you're
Mhm.
only getting started. It's
Right.
just there's more growth, right? We're only scratching the surface at this part. Can we kind of talk about that, the bridge?
Yeah, I would say initially the mindset, especially when it came to health and fitness, was non-existent, right? Like I said, I would consider myself eating healthy if maybe I had a piece of chicken from time to time. It's like, but then the next day we're eating pizza, right? Or anything else, or instead of 2 beers, I'm having 4 beers, right? It's like there was no self-control, there was no accountability, no monitoring that at all. With the mindset stuff specifically, right? It's the shift in like you're reprogramming your brain, right? And when I heard all the things that we talk about on the coaching calls, I just tried to break them down one by one, right? Habit by habit, to say, okay, let me start with gratitude, right? What do I need? And you provided all the videos that I wanted to go through, and we've talked through it on multiple coaching calls. It's like, okay, that's now a staple. That's part of my morning routine. It's the first thing I do. I start talking about 3 or 4 examples of things that I'm grateful for when it comes to my health, when it comes to my family, when it comes to my career, when it comes to, wealth, right? Like, I'm starting the day on that positive note, right? The daily intentions and self-reflection was another one, right? It's like I'm mapping out the things that I want to accomplish that day, and then I'm checking boxes and celebrating all of those small wins at the end of the day to end the day on a positive note, right? It's unbelievable. You say it all the time, that the small wins, right? They're all day long, but prior, your brain is only focused on the bad stuff, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter the 7 good things or 3 great things that happen. It's like these 2 bad things happened, just you clogged your brain, right? It's like you're just reprogramming it to think about things differently. So that's been the main thing. And then, all the different, books that you've recommended. Like, now it's like I used to just walk around and listen to music. Now I walk around and listen to audiobooks. I think I've completed 3 or 4 in this short time, right? A Changed Mind is the one I'm on right now. Atomic Habits was one of the other ones. It's like, it's amazing, right? How you're rewiring. It's a computer inside your head that you're
What it
rewiring.
is. That's 100% what it is, right? Now, I got a Mac, right? You
Mhm,
might have a different, computer. Somebody else might have a
mhm,
different computer, right? So obviously different hardwares, different softwares and all
mhm,
that stuff works very much in our mindset as well. We're all different. You mentioned something about how on our coaching calls and our check-ins and all that stuff, we started working with you first and foremost on gratitude because
mhm,
it's typically always the easiest thing to start changing your mindset. And
right.
it's simple as, hey, yes, there's probably things out there that you want. Six pack abs, chiseled chest, right?
Mhm,
More money, cars, clothes, the whole 9 yards. But also, when we look at the lens of I want, we start realizing here, like, we're just coming off needy. We're chasing
mhm,
rather than focusing on things that we have gratitude, like, hey, we got a body. We
mhm,
got, money in the bank. We have
yeah.
clothes in
I,
our
w-
dresser, right?
I
We have
woke
food
up
in the
today,
fridge.
right?
Woke up
Yeah,
today. Yeah, we
yeah.
got legs. We can walk, right? We got senses. Like, there's so many different things that we have in abundance, and we just start focusing on that, things start to improve, right? We
Yep.
get more abundance. You mentioned, right, that how on our check-ins and how our coaching calls,
Mhm,
we worked with you. Do
yep.
you want to kind of share a little bit more about like the personal preference to all that? Because I didn't say, hey, Jeff, like you need to write down 10 things you're grateful for. You need to do it like this. You need to
Mhm,
do it like this. Instead, it was working with you in terms of like,
yep.
hey, what is sustainable for you? Kind of like how similar before we started here recording, we were working with Anders on his
Mhm,
morning routine, right?
yep.
More personal touch. Do you want to kind of share a little bit about how that kind of like works inside of our coaching program?
Yeah, and you mention it all the time. Everyone's different, right? What works for some may not work for others. So the key thing is, like, I absorb the information that's shared, right, in the videos and on the coaching calls, um, determining how it's applicable to my goals or my systems or my habits, the new ones that I'm developing, and then working with you to kind of customize to say, hey, I'm a big checking boxes guy, right? I love having stuff on my radar. So, adding the habits into my tracker within the app to make sure I'm not losing sight of anything. It's so easy to just wake up, jump into your workday, and then, hours have gone and you've missed out on everything. It's like I use that to keep me be focused, and the weekly check-ins kind of help focus on what I feel I'm doing well, what do I feel that I need help with, what if anything I want to see, what are the coaches doing well, what else do I need from them, right? So it's that one-on-one personal interaction on a weekly basis outside of just the coaching, and just the within the app, being able to reach out to any of the coaches at any time, say, hey, I'm going out to dinner to this place, give me some healthy options, or hey, I'm really struggling with this. And just the immediate responses, it's unbelievable.
I love that. I love hearing that. I know we're pressed on time and I got two more questions
Mhm,
for you and then we'll wrap things up. Okay. First question is, how has your life changed outside of Heartletics? So you mentioned earlier about, working at Progressive. You
mhm.
mentioned earlier about, bowling. You mentioned earlier about, being married. I guess like outside of this coaching program, right? How has your life changed or has it at all?
I would say absolutely. I would say on the work front, um, I'm not stressing nearly as much as I used to because I've adopted the concept of filling my cup first, right?
Yeah.
It's like I can't help others unless I'm taking care of myself. And that's actually helped with, family relationships as well, right? It's like I'm putting the time and energy to take care of myself to make sure that I'm positioned to take care of them. On the bowling front, like I've never been as physically and mentally strong as I feel like I am right now. I'm already seeing positive benefits in the changes, the little tweaks that I'm applying to my mindset that's helping me there as well. So it's been amazing.
I love it. I always tell everybody when you invest in yourself, when you fill up your cup, you're more of an asset, right? You can just
Mhm.
fill up other people's cups. You can't pour into, if you're running dry, if you're empty, you can't
Mhm.
expect to fill out
And
others. So
nothing
I
to
love
give,
that.
right?
Yeah, exactly. Nothing to give. All right. Last question. I guess I have two more. We'll make this one short. Now that Bill's on the call, right? Hi, Bill. You gave Bill a big shout out, right? And I guess like,
Absolutely, well deserved.
is
Yeah.
there anything that you want to say face to face to Bill right now? Because this whole entire transformation that we all just heard about is because of Bill,
Mhm.
honestly. He's the one that said, hey, call up Joe. Um, is there anything that you want to say to Bill?
No, just I mean, what I've been telling them, thank you, right? Like you had the courage to have that tough conversation with me to say, man, you're that needle's moving in the wrong direction, man. Get off your butt and start doing stuff. So I would not have started on this had you not encouraged me to do so. So thank you.
You make me sound so nice when I had that conversation. I'm sure that conversation wasn't nearly that pleasant.
Well, I cleaned it up. This is a family show.
Fair
So
enough.
yeah.
we're we're keeping it PG, Bill.
Exactly. Right.
Bill, is there anything that you want to say real quick, to Jeff or about Jeff's? Because you're almost like, I hate to say this, right? But and don't take it the wrong way, but almost like a proud parent, right? You get to see somebody grow and transform and change so much. Like, Bill, I've known you outside of Heartletics. So, like, I can say when I see you, right, change and transform with your transformation, it makes me feel really proud, right? Is there anything that you want to say or feel really proud with you knowing Jeff and then seeing his transformation with Heartletics?
Yeah, I mean, he's doing great. He's made changes. And we've gone through the weight loss wars over the years together, and quite frankly, some of the stuff that he tried to do in the past, which I don't know whether he went into or not,
Oh yeah.
um, I basically laughed and told him it was full of shit, right? And I'm just I know his father, I know his parents. I see his father fairly regularly, and we've spoken just about the changes in his demeanor and the changes in just his whole persona. And this is great. I told him before he started that it wasn't going to be easy, and I told him some of the hassles that and hurdles that I thought he would have to overcome. And if I'm being 100% honest, did I think he was going to overcome all of those hurdles in as quickly a period of time as he has? No, I didn't. Um, so the fact that he has, and it's he, I don't know what he said about me. Um,
All
and
good things.
it's
All good
nothing,
things.
nothing I can't ignore. But he keeps me going, right? I've been going through a rut of my own,
Yeah.
and he keeps, he's asking me questions about this or talking about this, and sort of just reinvigorating me again. So it's worked out pretty well. I'm super proud of him. I'm glad that he's having the success he's having, and I look forward to it to continue to where he needs to be.
I
Cool.
love it.
Thanks,
I
man.
love it.
Appreciate it.
Let's wrap up with the last question. And Bill, also with, Jeff mentioned that, the sense of community, sense of accountability. You kind of mentioned going through a rough time right now and you're looking to Jeff for inspiration. And that's what we do, right? We all hold each other accountable. We're all here to support each other. Jeff, the last question I have for you is, what if somebody's watching this on YouTube, Spotify, listening in, fly on the wall? right? And they're thinking about like, okay, hey, Heartletics is different from a diet. Heartletics is
Mhm.
different from a workout program. Heartletics is community. Heartletics is coaching. Heartletics is leadership and mindset and all these things to help somebody improve on, who they are mentally and physically to becoming the best version of themselves. But maybe they're still on the fence. They're thinking about signing up for a call. They're thinking, right, but constantly maybe making up excuses. What's kind of stopping them from picking up the phone and scheduling a call? What would you say to that individual just to kind of help inspire them and just give them some motivation?
Yeah, I would say if you're on the fence, if you're serious about wanting to make positive changes in your life, make that call, right? Just have a conversation, right? Just talk, right? There's no pressure, right? You just, give Coach Joe an opportunity to meet you, hear a little bit about your story, and help share with you how this program can help you, like it's helped so many others.
I love it, brother. I appreciate that. And if you guys want more information about that, just go to heartletics.com and you can just schedule a discovery call. We can just talk over your health and fitness goals, just see if it's a good fit and see if we can help you out. Jeff, I am very grateful to be coaching you, very grateful and
Thank
appreciate
you.
your time on today's little, Q&A session. It's been a blast, man. I've learned a lot. I'm sure people have learned a lot also just listening in. It's been inspiring. So thank you.
No, thank you. I appreciate it.